Hi, we're so happy that you're interested in exploring the intensive English program here at Georgia State University. I want to talk to you for a minute about some of the reasons why you should choose the IEP here at Georgia State. The first thing is we have very small classes. Our tuition is low, especially compared to most programs. Our teachers are friendly and professional. They've all been trained at the master's level to do this kind of teaching. The classes are using best practices and the most current research to support the program. It's very easy to transfer to graduate or undergraduate degrees at any Georgia public university. That means you don't need to have a TOEFL or an IELTS score. We try to have weekly activities for students, whether it's online or face-to-face when that's appropriate. We have a conversation partner program. The environment when we meet downtown, it's safe and it's friendly. And we also do a lot of great things online. We have students from a wide range of countries, backgrounds, and locations. Our campus is in beautiful downtown Atlanta, Georgia, which is safe and friendly. We also right now are offering all of our programs online, and we also have a face-to-face component that is optional for your oral communication classes. And now let's take a look at some of the different elements that we have. One of the things that we offer is one-on-one instruction in which you talk with people about different issues that you need to focus on, whether it's in writing, reading, speaking, or listening. In these programs, we can provide personalized instruction, whether you are interested in accounting or law or business or medicine, we can help you with that. Here we have a wonderful reading listening class that's done online via Zoom.
S-Q-5-R. All right. Can anyone remember all those 5 R's?
Reset, record,
Read, recite, recall. Read, recite, and record.
Okay.
Read,
recite, record,
relate,
what is the last one?
review.
Review. All right. So read, recite, recall, read, recite, and record. Those 3 you do kind of together. Relate and review. Actually, relating it could be part of the review process too. So this is week 6, Thursday. Your homework was to take notes. I will take a look at them very soon. Did you also check your Quizlet? So let's review some of the things you studied on Tuesday. So SQ5R, what do you remember about each stage? So the first stage was what? Survey. Survey means here, that means quickly examining what the reading is about. A lot of times the basic thing you can do is to check the headings and subheadings and see how the information is organized and how much information there is. Does that make sense? So that's the survey part. And survey and question sort of, they go together. Question part, a lot of students have trouble with, but it's not really that difficult. Question is basically thinking about why I'm reading this, okay? What questions can I answer while I'm reading this? Because whenever you read something, there is a purpose, right? Are you trying to see the differences between A and B? Or are you trying to see why we should do this based on 5 reasons? Then you need to pay attention to all those 5 reasons. Or are you trying to just understand 3 really difficult concepts? Whatever it is, you need to know what you're about to do, okay? So what questions are you trying to answer? That's the Q part. And then the other part, That's a little more about doing. So once you start reading, you read, okay? But I don't, if you remember, I suggested or I recommended that you read section by section, one section at a time. And this is actually quite useful. A lot of students read too much and it actually takes longer, and a lot of times your memory is not that great. So if you read more than 2 or 3 paragraphs at a time, it's too much information. So try section by section. You read one paragraph, right? And then, and you'll also have to read it actively, paying attention and really thinking about what the main idea is. And after that, you put it away and just try to remember what you just read. But as Zahra said, sometimes the content could be a little too difficult. Then you just read it again until you get the main point, okay? Now, another strategy you can use in this stage, recite stage, if you do it with a friend, it could be very helpful. So let's say I just read this part and then you stop. If you're with a friend, or maybe you can talk to each other on the phone, stop and talk to each other about what you just read. This is important. Relate. A lot of students don't do this, although this is basically why we study a lot of concepts. Whatever term you're learning, if you feel that it's just a abstract concept in the textbook, you're not going to remember it, okay? But if you understand it and if you think that that is useful to you, you can understand it in your own way. You can remember that much longer and much better, okay? So we do this quite often, and a lot of times teachers would ask you, has this ever happened to you? Have you ever experienced something like this? Then you say, oh, I think maybe when I do this, this is what's happening. And you're making a connection between your life, what you know, and then the textbook. This part is super important. And today's, one of the main activities for today is practicing relating, okay? All right, so I'm gonna put you guys in groups. Can you please talk about SQ5R? First of all, you need to remember what they are, okay? And see what you're supposed to do while you're reading. Do you understand? Instead of one person saying everything, I would say, let's say how you start with survey and question. And then you can find someone. Didier, can you explain read? Or can you explain the next part? And then Didier can explain 1 or 2, and then you can pass it down to somebody else. Does that make sense? So everybody can participate a little bit to explain SQ5R, all right? Okay, I'm gonna put you guys in groups, hold on.
And this is a course in structure and composition, which focuses on grammar and also the process of writing. So who can tell me what are the 2 suggestions that this writer had for being safe on the internet? Anybody find those?
Yes.
What do you got, Maytal?
You're talking about the first article, right?
Yes, yes.
So he suggests one way is to reduce risk is to active the privacy control on social networking.
Yes.
And another way just one second, is to shop only on secure websites.
Which is actually, it remains a very good idea to shop. And do you guys know how to tell if it's a secure website?
They have a sign usually.
The padlock.
And it says secure website.
Yeah, so it can be the padlock, it can be a sign. Also, usually if it says HTTPS instead of just HTTP. In this one, I just want to point out a few things. You can see here, the very first thing that was in the summary response, they mentioned the author and the title of the article. And then you can see there are a lot of different ways that this writer kept referring back to, this is coming directly just from this source. According to Irani, as the author points out, the author describes, the author further states, Irani concludes. So notice all of these things are reminding the reader, I'm summarizing what's going on in this essay or in this source that I'm using. And then you can say, okay, now I'm going to move on to another part of this. I give a brief summary of what's going on. And then, and I think Fatimata pointed this out, notice that there was a disagreement. So first, the writer says, I agree that these are a problem, but I disagree. Now notice this is no longer part of the summary. The summary is just explaining what was in the original article. The response is where you get to show your critical thinking skills, and you identify the things that you think are most relevant and the things that you think you either disagree with. And what do you think about that? I like that the author says that people who have grown up using the internet are more savvy. Do you agree?
Really?
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, it seems to me like I look at myself and I look at my sons, they're so much smarter than I am. But on the other hand, maybe they're too comfortable with it.
Exactly.
Yeah, so they trust it too much, or because they certainly are much more eager to use things. I don't know if you've ever heard of Venmo or PayPal, things like this. These are ways that you can transfer money just online, so you never actually have to hold the money. But notice here that the writer here has disagreed with the author. And then, as Maytal pointed out, we also used the structure that's used here is, in addition, the article fails to address, and then the writer tells us what are the things that he or she feels is missing from the article, and explaining why. And then, because this is a very nice writer of the summary, they also then go back at the very end and just sort of give something else that's more positive about the article, which tells the reader of this summary response that in general, the summary writer felt that it was useful information. That's that. Yeah, your second one is good, David. That's good. Remember, Yujuan, you have to make it sort of the opposite of what really happened. Eric wasn't ready to go to the beach. So you would say, if Eric had been ready, because the reality is he wasn't ready. So we're going to go to what's unreal. One of the things we really like about being able to offer our online classes is that we provide the use of live feedback. So for example, in this writing class, we have students write in the chat room through Zoom, so that as we're working together, they're able to put things up there and the teacher gives them feedback in real time. This is a wonderful thing because it also allows all the students to learn from each other. We also have students work in small groups when we're doing online classes. That's through breakout rooms. And that's where they get to work on either projects or different activities that require them to interact in English, and then they come back and they share their work with the larger group. This is a great way to practice listening and speaking while also developing their other skills. We hope that you've enjoyed this little trip through our online classes. There's more information on our website, and if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. Our email address is esl@gsu.edu, and we're always happy to talk to you and answer any questions.